Hello everyone, welcome back to the basement. In this video I just wanted to give you guys a review over my sump. I have had it for a little over a year now, and I had some opinions on it that I thought you guys might want to know if you're interested in buying the sump. So this is an Eshopps R-300. I believe the R stands for Refugium. It has this Refugium section in the center of the sump. So really quick, I'm just going to give you guys a quick overview of the sump. The doors to the aquarium are kind of in the way, so we're going to be bouncing back and forth. First is the return lines go in through two drain holes here. Look this up. You can see it drains down into a back section and then overflows over into a filter sock section. From there, shut this. From there, drains down into the filter sock, actually goes underneath here, and then back into the skimmer and any other, it's called the skimmer section, but I have a skimmer and a zeovit reactor, and then finally back into this back chamber here, where it is then returned back to the tank. Water is fed into the refugium by those little teeth. I don't know if you can see them there. And then it overflows back and again back into the return line. So it's a kind of a unique system. It's their Eshopps channel design, patent pending. So yeah, it's a nice looking sump. So if my phone will focus, there we go. So really quickly, I'm just gonna go over what I like about the sump. Again, the design is pretty nice. It holds a decent amount of water. It says it can support up to a 300-gallon tank. I don't know how much I believe that because I'm using it on a 180-gallon system, and I don't know if it would be big enough to support the equipment for a 300-gallon tank. This is the skimmer I use on this tank, and as you can see here in this, what I would consider more of an equipment compartment, I don't think it has enough room to hold the bigger equipment needed for a 300-gallon system. So on to the likes. Like I said, I do enjoy the way it looks. I think it's unique, a unique design. It fit under my stand, and the price point is really good for this size of a sump. It's about 350 bucks. You could make a sump a lot cheaper than that. However, there are a lot of sumps that are a lot more expensive. Sumps of similar size can go up into the thousands if you're looking at like My Reef Creations and some top-of-the-line sumps. But this is not a top-of-the-line sump, and that is why I'm making this video. So for some of you looking to buy this sump, here are a couple of dislikes and concerns I have regarding the sump. So let's go from left to right. My first dislike is right here. This cover, which covers up the this filter sock area, has warped significantly over time. As you can see, it's looks like a little ramp now. It's got a pretty mean curve to it, and it does not sit flat, which leads to the salt creep I have back here. Second dislike, on Eshopps' website they advertise this as a silent sump. They even have a video showing a sump that has water pouring into it, which is very loud, and they advertise their sump and you cannot hear a single thing. You have to check the volume on your computer to make sure your audio is even on. But I watched the video and they have almost no flow draining down into the sump when they're demonstrating their sump. So obviously they want you to think it's quiet, but it's not. As you can hear, I have about 1,400 gallons per hour going into this sump. It's not really loud, so I'm not really complaining, but it's not silent like they advertise. So if you think you're gonna get this sump and you're not gonna hear a single thing, you will. Second, this is probably my least favorite, is the acrylic used for this sump is really, really thin. I don't know if you can see it, but it's kind of bowing, but it's a very, very thin acrylic. If I apply pressure, it can easily bend. So that's not something you want to see when you have something underneath your tank that's holding like 40 gallons worth of water. But like I said, it is a cheaper sump, so you're not going to get a super high quality sump with this because you're not spending a ton of money. At 350 bucks isn't cheap, but when you look at some of the more expensive sumps that offer a higher quality, it's not the same thickness of acrylic. They use a much higher grade acrylic and a much thicker acrylic, so you're not going to have like this bending. It is a pretty roomy sump, but like I said, that's roomy for my size tank. If you look at my reactor compartment, I have a Skimmer and a Zeovit reactor, which are both in the system. Literally almost no room. Like, it was a struggle to squeeze these two guys in there, and it's going to be even more of a struggle to take the Zeovit reactor out to change the media, and I have to get back here and pump this once a day. So this compartment's pretty big, but I would not think it would work on a 300-gallon system unless you plumb all of your reactors externally. And my last problem, that actually happened the very first day, and I'll put my phone back here. If you guys can see that float valve, I have two. I have a big one there and one there. That float valve at the top, this sump actually comes with a float valve. It's for auto top-offs. It didn't work from day one. I hooked up my auto top-off system to it, and it just drained the entire bucket into the tank. Luckily, I realized right away, but it didn't work from day one, and because it was filled with water, already set up and everything, they wouldn't take it back, and I certainly didn't want to unplumb it from my system and take it back, so I just picked up an auto top-off system, installed it to the side wall there, and that's been working for me. It was a pretty cheap fix, but I did have to spend that extra money to fix it, which is not a fix I should have had to make the very first day. So those are my pros and cons on the sump. So quality, I'm going to give a 5 out of 10. Cost, I'm going to give a 9 out of 10 just because, like I said, it is cheap compared to a lot of other sumps. Would I recommend this thing? It depends where you are in your budget for your tank. If you are looking for a lower cost sump and are on a budget, I would. I do think it's a nice looking sump. It has features that other sumps don't have, as far as like just I think the Refugium compartment is pretty cool, but it's not very big. As you guys can see, these are the changes I've made. Actually, no, I'll go over how I'm running this thing at the end. But yeah, I would recommend it too if you're on a budget for your tank. If you've got some spending money, I'd say get a nicer sump. You could even make one for if you're on a real budget, make it sump. It's not that hard. You can just pick up glass and silicone and get a pretty big breeder tank and just build your own sump. But yeah, like I said, more cons than pros with this thing. Just if they used a little bit thicker of acrylic, I think I'd definitely say pick it up. All the other things could be ignored, like the warping, even the auto top-off braking, but if they used a little thicker of acrylic, I would be a lot happier with it. So how I have this thing running, obviously the drains go in. I have it running into a filter sock, which I change every 3 to 4 days. Then I have it flowing through a carbon, and I actually have a carbon reactor, but the reason I do not run my carbon in a reactor is because I'm running the Zeovit system, and they have their own carbon, and they say to run it in a bag, not a reactor. So that's why I'm not doing a reactor. My middle section here, I do have it set up as a refugium. I have just a little bit of live rock in my tank and 2 mangroves, one there and one in the middle and one to the right, growing out from the water. I didn't want to do Kato this time because it just kind of clogged up my pump, and it would clog up the sponges, and it just seemed to get everywhere. And I like the way the mangroves look, just kind of growing out of the tank. I have them lit with a JBJ Nano Glow that I have actually Velcroed to the top of my tank, which shines down. I have, over here, I have 2 bricks of Marine Pure, the 8x8 by 1 inch. One is actually underneath here, so water flows through it, and then the other one is here, so water flows through it. And that, for those of you that don't know, the Marine Pure is just a basically brick for surface area for the nitrifying bacteria to grow on. If you have a minimalistic look in your tank, it comes in handy, like me. Then I have the Eshopps R-300 cone skimmer, which is actually doing really well right now. It's skimming out some pretty nasty gunk. And then I have a Zeovit Vertex 3-liter reactor plumbed to the back. I actually kind of want to take that pipe, get another piece of PVC, and have it drain into the return line there. So when I pump it, it goes directly right up into the tank. And then just a little thermometer here, and my tank is currently running at about 76 to 77 degrees. And then the return line has the auto top off, which goes through my external pump and then back up into the aquarium. So that is my review. Went a little longer than I wanted to, as most of my videos do, but that is my review over the Eshopps R-300 sump. If you guys have any questions regarding the sump, I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff I did not go over, please let me know in the comments and I will reply as quickly as possible. Thank you, and if you guys liked the video, go ahead and subscribe.